we need to understand what gets delivered at the end of it. Okay, the first one is obviously the product itself, the website, the mobile app, or the application, enterprise digital platform, whatever it is that we're going to. So that's the first thing that will get delivered. But apart from that, there are a few others that we also deliver. So what are those? So in terms of the release, so we've got this, right? So we've got this idea about sprint. After about 2 to 3 sprints, we've got something to release to the market, to the customers and users. So what gets done? Of course, the first one is a product backlog. You see that it is not actually done only once, like how we used to do in the waterfall, where I spent 5 months writing up the requirements, getting the sign off, and after that, you're not really looking at the requirements. Maybe you look at the change requests, CRs, coming in on and off, but then otherwise it's pretty much like frozen requirements, signed off set of requirements, so you don't touch them. Whereas with product backlog, it gets continuously updated. The product owner keeps looking at it, checking it, accepting the feedback. Once the product is launched and delivered, then the whatever has been given by the customer, the feedback, the changes, defects, any new tasks, technical tasks, all of them go into the backlog day in and day out. It's not as if one-time activity. It's a continuous activity. So product backlog gets refined, groomed, prioritized, reshuffled up and down by the product owner every day, every hour. So there is no such thing as this is frozen, let's not work on it. So very important. And then once the product backlog gets prioritized into sprint backlog, so this is what we said that the team would work on. The team would update, team prioritizes, team shuffles and reshuffles, team does the updates to the backlog, the sprint backlog. So that's again in the realms of the team. And then once we have both of these, we've got what we call as a product and sprint burn down charts. We're going to have a look at it. I'll explain that to you. It's not complex, it's just that the burn down chart actually tracks in terms of what has been the total size in terms of what was agreed upon and how we are doing it on a daily basis, day by day. So you're burning down the effort. So you start with, let's say this is the amount of work that is required. Let's say we need to deliver 100 story points. So on day one, did we complete, let's say we finished 10 story points. Now we're 90 story points. Day 2, 80. Day 3, 70, like that. So by the end of day 10, let's say it is a 2-week sprint and 10 days of work. So by the end of 10th day, which is the end of the sprint, we should have 0 story points. That is basically what is a burn down chart. I'll explain to you with an example there. And then the most important thing according to Scrum and Agile is basically at the end of the sprint, you're actually getting the work product, whether it is the website, it is a web page, it is a marketing brochure, or a PowerPoint presentation, or a mobile application, or a huge digital platform. It doesn't matter what you're trying to deliver. That's the product. And that should be ready for showing to the customer and then actually taking it to the customer and deploying on the server. And that's the core and crux of Scrum. So this is you're not talking about any documents here. Apart from the backlog, sprint backlog, and the burn down charts, you won't have, and the stories, obviously, when I talk about backlog, you're talking about stories, tasks, defects, all these things. Apart from this, there's not much of a documentation. That's why it still has documentation. Then if people say Scrum says no documentation, don't write anything. That again is a fallacy. I've seen a lot of people actually arguing that no, Scrum is an agile methodology. Scrum doesn't say you should have documentation. Scrum never said don't do any documentation. Scrum says lightweight documentation, just enough documentation. And the just enough documentation is this product backlog. It could be done in any format. There's no specific format that Scrum says this is how you should do. So I'll show an example of that, each of these, so you get an idea what we're talking about.